Hi, this is Danielle with Hollywood Breakthrough, and today we have a director, writer, film producer. We have Reggie Rock Bythewood. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
Thank you very much for having me.
I'm going to go way back. You've done Different World, Get on the Bus,
Right.
Biker Boys, the favorite, New York Undercover, even recently Beyond the Lights. You've done great film packed with emotions and just something that's great for any culture to kind of watch and follow. I want to say thank you for your films and your writing.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I'm just still out here grinding and just very passionate to just tell these stories. So it's a grind, but it's a good grind.
When you got started, what was your first thing that kind of got you, not necessarily noticed, but just kind of like, this is it for me. I'm going to be doing this forever.
Well, when I was a kid, I had my sights set on being an actor. And, I'm from New York, and I attended the High School of Performing Arts and was introduced there to the works of like a lot of great playwrights such as, Tennessee Williams and Arthur Miller and Shakespeare and Lorraine Hansberry, who's my favorite playwright of all time. And it was around that time while I was in high school, I was also cast in a soap opera called Another World. And it was a busy, crazy, interesting time for me. My parents had just divorced, and meanwhile, I was working on the soap opera with Morgan Freeman and Joe Morton and other great actors. But I also started to fall in love with the written word more than the acting. I started to envision how I would write some of the scenes we were given on the soap opera to act. And in school, that the only African-American plays we studied was A Raisin in the Sun. And even though I love that play, I still do, I had a desire to read the works of other black playwrights. So I began reading the works of Mbatha-Raw and Ron Milner and many others, and August Wilson. And I feel like all of this passion I was feeling about writing began to explode after I acted in a film by John Sayles called A Brother from Another Planet. And so it's a really, really cool, great indie film starring Joe Morton. And I had a supporting role in there. And John spoke with me on set about screenwriting and directing. And then from then on, I just knew that was the path I wanted to follow. I never turned back after that.
Was it difficult kind of to start writing?
I had always been writing. And what was interesting for me is that I approached it from an actor point of view. So I didn't take, screenwriting courses and stuff like that. And I was really more focused at that time, playwriting. So I just would start writing plays and didn't really know how to get my head around, writing a screenplay or a teleplay or anything like that. But also at that time, a writer's fellowship program began. It was the Disney Writers Fellowship, and it was the inaugural year of this program. And the aim was to bring in writers who wanted to learn about the industry and just needed a way in. And so some people encouraged me to apply, and I sent a couple of plays, and I got in. And so from there, it was a very interesting time too, Danielle, because I was still toying with this idea of being a writer, but I had a lot more leeway at that time as an actor, and I got cast in another soap opera at that time called One Life to Live.
Wow.
And at the same time, I made it into the Disney Fellowship program. So, I don't remember how much money was on the table with one. I was in my early 20s, and I'm not sure how much One Life to Live was going to pay, but it was going to pay significantly more than the Disney Writership Fellowship program, which at that time was like $30,000 for the year. But, I just really followed my heart and passed on the soap opera and moved to Cali and just did the Disney Writers Fellowship program. And that's when I really started to learn about, how to write teleplays. And I began as a TV writer, and that's, really where it began.
Because you did The Different World, you did New York Undercover. These are two great shows that was on. Did you enjoy doing that?
I loved it. I didn't watch like tons of TV at that point in time in my life. And so, but I did, I was aware of A Different World, and it was one of my favorite shows at that time. And when I had my interview for A Different World, I was interviewing to write what do you call like a freelance episode. So in other words, I wasn't going to be on staff, but, they would give like one or two episodes to writers who weren't on staff and let them have an opportunity to get a writing credit and stuff. So I interviewed for that. And I was supposed to come in with maybe like 3 or 4 ideas. And I remember I had something like 18 ideas. And I was pitching all of my ideas. And at some point, they eventually told me, okay, stop. We got it. And so I left and just kind of hopeful that I might be able to get a freelance episode. And one of the producers at that time, a woman named Mbatha-Raw, called me. And she told me that I didn't get the freelance episode, but instead they wanted to bring me on staff. And, I was just like blown away. And it was a real amazing experience. And it was an experience where, it was like just the perfect first, professional gig to have. And just some great sisters ran the show. And it was just pretty incredible, and I was working with Susan Sayles and Yvette Lee Bowser and Debbie Allen. And it's also where I met Gina Prince at that time, who, later on and now has become Gina Prince-Bythewood.
Right.
Right.
I call you guys my fantasy superheroes because you guys do great movies, great things. And it's nice to see something that you guys done together.
All right. Thank you.
You did Notorious, and there's a lot of people who've done like Angela Bassett did the Whitney Houston story. And it's very hard to do someone, I would imagine, that's no longer here, but their family members are here. And do you get a lot of pushback by doing Notorious?
Yeah, I think like at first, when it first came to me, I wasn't interested in doing it on certain levels. And I think one of the reasons is because of what you said, just everybody was going to have an opinion, and everybody, I thought would probably want to have a hand into it. And then, I eventually went in for a meeting and just saw some opportunities. And I thought some of the inherent complications, I took them on as sort of challenges. And, it's interesting because, as a writer, you do your best as a writer, and then the director takes it and, you just kind of like fight for, what you can have. And pretty happy with the work I did. And once I did it, I know that a lot of the, I definitely had an opportunity to talk a lot with, Mrs. Wallace, and, met with Puffy at the time, P. Diddy now. And, it was actually like really, really interesting to talk to Faith and just like really take different things that people told me and put it down on a page. And then George Tillman, the director, took it from there. And, I know that some of the people that I collaborated with were very happy with it. And, it's just like you really, once you do it, you just don't really try to please everybody, because that's just the surest way to fail.
You also did Gun Hill, and at the end of that, I kept thinking, there's going to be a part 2. There's something else coming, because I just kept thinking there's something else going to happen, that you're going to do a part 2. Is there another Gun Hill out there in your head that you're going to?
There is, and, we're working on it, and it just stinks that it's taken this damn long,
It's okay. But, we're going to wait for it. No doubt about it.
I loved it, and I love working with Lorenz. I have to tell you, when I'm on set, one of the things that I do is, at the end of the day, I just, thank everybody in my crew. I just thank them for the day and helping me get through the day. And that was a really tough shoot. And I've never, ever seen an actor do that. And, I would look around and I would see Lorenz thanking the crew members, shaking everybody's hand and thanking them for the day. And just thought like, that's just really speaks a lot to his character. And I just had like such a great crew of people, of actors to work with. And so, we really hope to get this bad boy going and just get like a couple more episodes of it on the way. And, it feels like we're close, but, until we can really set it in stone, I guess I won't say too much more about it.
All right. And Beyond the Lights, that's a huge hit between you and your wife. My understanding that you guys had a lot of difficulties kind of getting that movie done. But what about some of the great pleasures of that movie? How easy are even just be able to put that out there and just know that, you didn't get the funding they got from the outside that you thought you would, that you guys did this together and it became a great film without any extra stuff that had to happen?
Well, ultimately, Beyond the Lights is Gina's vision. And so, in many ways, the way we work, if it's Gina's script, she writes a script, and, while she's writing it, she bounces off ideas, and we have some brainstorming sessions, and then she wrote it, and I give her my feedback, and the aim is my job is to beat her up as much as I can, so that when she puts it out to the world, she's already gone through it, and the script is tight. And what was great about it is I think that there were other options that Gina could have pursued, like if she cast a very famous R&B singer in it, it might have got funding a lot quicker. But ultimately what Gina did is she auditioned people, and she attached Google and Mbatha-Raw, and she just really set out to make the movie that she wanted to make. And so, a lot of people, because Google's really coming on now in terms of notoriety, and a lot of people are going to really start knowing her in the next year or two if they don't know her now. But at that time, it's not a household name, so a lot of people were not interested with the film and with that attachment. And to Gina's credit, she stuck to her guns. That's what she wanted to make, and so we just went about finding some money for the film. And it was just really like it's sometimes no's really lead to like the yes that you really want. And I just think it really the great satisfaction with the film is that there's nothing creatively compromised.
Right.
It's like literally the movie that we talked about making, and that's sometimes it's rare, but it's just really great. And it's just like the way you want to work. You want to be able to look back and say, if it sucks, it's on me. If it's great, it's on me. It's just the movie that I wanted to make. And she did that.
With Biker Boys, you actually had to write that, and you also directed that. Is that difficult when you had to sit and write this film, the concept of coming up with that theme? What made you kind of think of doing Biker Boys? Did you have a love for bikes?
Well, first off, another writer had written a draft of it, and somebody sent the script to me. And at that point, it was really just like a small father and son story with, this motorcycle club. And then as it kind of went through, and so I really liked it, and, I really kind of have an affinity for father-son stories. And I just started doing research and started hanging out with the motorcycle clubs and was fascinated with the world. And so that's what I tried to hold on to, as a father and son element. I think, studio-wise, like the action elements became, really important for them and for, the movie that they wanted to put out there. And so, there was some back and forth and some things, but, ultimately, I really cared most about the father and son story, and that's the story I wanted to tell.
Is it difficult when you start writing? What do you have to do to get yourself kind of motivated? Do you kind of set yourself off in a room and shut everything out, shut the door, no one's coming in? Am I going to talk to anyone for several days? Do you take a lot of...
I'd say the difficulty really, it used to be a lot easier when we didn't have kids, because I could just literally just write just nonstop and not have to really negotiate time between, Little League practice or all these other things. So much of it is a balancing act. But, I love, sorry for my dogs, just as I said, Little League, my kids coming in from Little League practice. So, I just, so much of it is a balancing act. And when I write, my process is that once I feel clear about what the story is and what it is I want to say, and have a fairly good understanding of who the characters are, I just try to write it as fast as possible. And I kind of call it my BS draft. I just give myself permission to make sure that the first draft is going to suck. And then once I get that down on paper, then the real discoveries, the other discoveries I have start happening, where I just do my rewrite. And my rewrite is when I just, try to not make it a BS draft now and make it good enough to see if I can get it past Gina. And so, Gina is, the first one that reads it, and, And then she kind of goes through a process of beating me up. So after Gina, reads it, I have another, I also have another, just a small circle of friends that will generally read my work, and I'll read their work as well. And then I just put it out in the world when I feel good about it and fight to get it made. And that's sort of the process. And, as I said, so much of it is a balancing act with, other things going on in my life. And I have to say, like, being a father has restricted me from, kind of like writing all night, all day, like I used to like to do. But it's also just made me more disciplined with my time. Because the fact of the matter is, I love being a father. I love going to my kids' sporting events. And sometimes, once I'm out there with them, or if I'm playing catch with them, you have to pull me away, But, so much of it is a balancing act, and that's probably like the biggest challenge right now.
When you're doing your directing, are you using a particular camera or anything, something you love using, or?
I keep exploring. I use the Red camera on Gun Hill, and really had a lot of fun with that. And so I have been working in the digital space for a while, and as much as I love film, I just really do love like the freedom that digital gives you, and I'd like to be able to just not have like a whole bunch of cables and everything attached here and there, and I just like to kind of be able to move as fast as possible. So, totally in the digital space right now with the filmmaking.
What do you use for Notorious?
Well, first of all, Notorious is a film that I wrote. Cheo Hodari Coker is another writer on it as well. And George Tillman directed it. And I have to say, Danielle, you tripped me up on that one. It was so long ago. I don't remember what we used, but I believe we shot it on film. It's been such a while, I don't really remember.
Okay. Do you remember Biker Boys, what you used for that?
Well, that was kind of, it was so interesting. I remember on Biker Boys, I wanted to start shooting some scenes in digital, and the studio was against it. Oh. People hadn't really bought into the digital space at that time. So yeah, we shot it on film, and it was great. And I think like the look of it was really great. But I have to just say, like, I'm just so adamant now about really wanting to be able to shoot things as fast as possible and not have to worry about running out of film and all this other stuff, and shooting as many takes as you can. That just the freedom of film and the idea of to be able to shoot digital that looks, good, looks as, sometimes you can have digital that looks, like film. A lot of people will kill me for saying something like that, but I just really do think that you can control the look pretty well nowadays with the technology we have.
What do you think about like Netflix and the internet, online films, things like that, for some of your distribution for your films? Are you okay with that?
Love it. I mean, what I like is that it's another platform.
Right.
I think, I don't really look at it as, the internet is replacing film or replacing TV. I love it when they all can kind of work together. It was really interesting too, because Gun Hill, premiered on cable, and I'm not sure. I feel like just as many people have seen it on Netflix, and I think that the internet just allows us to just take more chances with some of the content, particularly things that don't have advertisers attached. But I love a lot of the things they're doing on Netflix, and we may be trying to get some stuff going on there as well, but we think it's great.
What's some of the obstacles you went through that you thought that they make you keep going when things seemed like someone's saying no to you, or you feel like there's maybe not everyone on the same team with you? What kind of keeps you going and keep you kind of grounded?
I think the thing that keeps you going, for me, I have this line in Notorious that says, don't chase the paper, chase the dream. And, ultimately, I just have a cause bigger than myself. And I kind of, very specifically when I'm working on a project, look to identify, what is a cause bigger than myself on each individual script. And just by like kind of having the sense of mission and the sense of purpose, for a project is very important for me because it is not just about like, oh, I'm trying to get a movie made. Oh, I'm trying to make another movie. It's really about like this mission that I'm, just really working towards, really looking to accomplish. And it just gives you that like extra motivation, that extra steel that you need inside of you, that extra fight, so that when you go and you hear the no's, it doesn't make you retreat, but it makes you come back stronger, and it makes you find the yeses that you need. Or, for example, when I first started as a playwright, I wrote, I sent scripts, all over town to various theater companies in New York, and either people didn't read it or I got some no's, and then I just was able to hook up with some people, and we pulled the financing together and got the plays up. And it was like the greatest lesson that I could have learned with, me just like at the beginning of my career. And so, I made my first movie. It was the first movie I directed was called Dancing in September. And it was an independent film. And we got the financing together for it. Ended up selling it to HBO at that time, an HBO original film. And it was great. And so like I'd say like a lot of the no's have turned out to be blessings. And I think that, just by having a cause bigger than myself, feeling like if I don't say it, it won't be said, just getting that sense of mission and sense of purpose has allowed me to keep knowing when I hear no.
What would you say to someone that's a young writer, young director, not necessarily in age young, talking about experience, and they're kind of starting out or been doing some projects? What's something you can say to them that you wish someone had told you to mentor or motivate them?
Well, I guess, a couple of things. One is I think I see a lot of talented filmmakers coming out of film school, and I sometimes feel like there's one thing that they might be missing or not aware of when they come out, which is that you got to have a lot of steel inside you. You got to have fire to fight and compete, and not to just wait for permission for somebody to say yes or no. I think that it's so important to continue to work on your craft and to continue to improve and to continue to stay hungry. It's really great if you can have like a great network of friends or a friend that you can trust that will, help you, that will just be your eyes on whatever project that you're working on. But, ultimately, I feel like if you're ready, if you feel like you're ready to put your work out there, then just go for it. Find a way. You got to have some steel inside you. And, I've just seen so many other filmmakers that are out there now doing it in a big way that have overcome so many no's on their first film. And I think about, Gina overcoming the no's she had for Love and Basketball. And just kind of like the common denominator is just really believing in yourself and just having that steel that it takes inside to fight for your vision, and just to know and understand if you don't say it, it won't be said.
And what are you watching right now on TV, and what is the film you kind of watch?
Well, I'm also the Academy member now, which is cool. So I've certainly, watched all of the films, the nominated films, and obviously he's a big fan of Beyond the Lights, but big fan of Selma and big fan of Birdman and some of these other movies that were out there. Danielle, we're also like we're a sports family, man. So I have to tell you, we keep ESPN in business, and we have so many things on TiVo, like all of the most popular shows that are hitting right now. A lot of it I just haven't even seen yet because our kind of days, like when we're not in production, it's kind of like I'm writing or taking whatever meetings or pulling together the financing on whatever projects I'm doing, and the kids come home and and then we just jump into, if they need help with their homework, we do that. Then we just get out there on the, one son is playing baseball and one son is playing basketball, and we just really get engrossed with that. And a great night for me is to after dinner, if I'm not going to go back to the script, I'm going to watch a game.
Oh, wow. Now, why don't you write? You're not going to write a film about a game or sports, you think?
Yeah, that's the next one.
That's the next one.
That's the next one. That's right.
Okay. Well, I want to say, I know you have to get going. I want to say thank you so much for doing this. I know you're extremely, extremely busy, and I really appreciate you taking the time doing this. And definitely, we're going to put your Twitter information out. We're going to definitely put all the things you've done, and just keep doing what you're doing because you got fans, and we're just waiting for you to put more stuff out.
Well, I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. And, again, we should just keep fighting, just keep grinding, have a cause bigger than yourself. And, that might just be the extra fuel that we all need to just get to where we want to go.
Wow, great. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.